Alright, welcome back to the channel. Today's the day I pull all the barrels off and reseal them. I mean, you can see which ones are holding air and they're round. While the barrels are off, I'm gonna pressure wash to get the barnacles off. You can see they're inflated. I've only got a few of them that's not inflated, but I'm not just to take care of those few, I'm gonna take care of them all. Every barrel's off. I'm gonna pressure wash, get the rest of the barnacles off. Like this one's deflated, and I got 1, 2, 3 for sure that are deflated. Anyway, the barrel's off. So today's video, while the barrels are off, I show you the bottom, the structure, and the diverters. I left the diverters on in place, took all the strapping off to remove all the barrels. Surprisingly, I only had 2 or 3 wasp nests. The wasps are looking for their nest. They're down there somewhere. Alright. Now, the diverters, you get a better look of how I built the framing. Remember, I had the barrels on here first, so I buttered up this board against the barrel to start my diverters and made my T-bracing. Cold, man, look at that big wasp nest. They look friendly, right? They're not. There's another one somewhere else. I saw another one in here. They're not friendly, so I'm gonna take care of them. You see, this diverter's got one. Nope, surprisingly no. Anyway, that's a look at my diverters and my main frame. See how well it's holding up. What would that wasp want? Huh? You want to be friends? You want to be on YouTube? Anyway, my main frame, this is treated wood, and if y'all stay with me from the start of the build, I built the main frame as 2 pontoons, and it stayed bare without a deck for a couple months. And you know, I was riding it with no deck. I was just having so much fun with this thing. So that's why these boards are sun faded and it's got water stains on it. Because with no deck, when it rain, the barrel will be here, and being I got an oak tree in the front yard, leaves will clog up, and when it rains it will fill with water and it'll slowly drain out. But the board's still in good shape. I'm debating whether I should paint all this while all the barrels are off. I mean, for over a year old, I'm happy, but this thing doesn't live in the water constant. You know, it's only in the water a few days at a time, which recently, it hasn't been in the water in a while. So I hear the wasp buzzing behind my ear. They fighting, bro. Hey, y'all work it out, okay? Y'all be friends. Families forever. Them boys, I tell you. Anyway, this is my framing. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 2x6s running for the framing, and the outsides are capped with 2x8s, which hide these straps. But it also makes it to where you'll never get these straps out. You'll never get them out unless that 2x8 comes off, which is I'm not gonna say it's impossible. It would be very difficult for me to get that 2x8 off. But this is the Rocco ply painted. So water resistant, moisture resistant plywood, outdoor grade plywood, and I went ahead and threw a coat of paint on it. That's what's covering my entire flooring. And every so many inches, I forget what it was, I added some 2x6, 2x2, 2x4 braces. Pretty much my original frame was most of the 2x6s, I think every 36 inches apart or 34 inches apart. And when it came down to putting decking, I knew I was going with 1/2 inch ply. So just in between that leftover wood, I would just drop in, just to give it more structural support. Like where my wall plate's at is on top of a 2x6, where my original wall plate was supposed to be here, but instead I put my wall plate right here. I decided to enlarge the cabin, make it bigger than my original structure. And of course I got my tray for my steering, and my cables is all gonna have to get routed and tucked out of the way. This is all extra slack, so I have enough room to add 3 more feet to the boat if I really wanted to, which I will, but I need you guys to talk me out of it right now. Like I said, most of this wood just drop off extras I had. There's a piece of deck board, 2x4, and there's a little short piece of 2x6 I had just to have. because I knew this would be my walkway, a lot of traffic right here. So it didn't need it. No, I just put it in there. And these screws you see coming down, that's what's supporting my plywood. I have a 1/2 inch of Rocco floor, 1 inch thick of foam board, and another 1/2 inch of Rocco that's screwed down. And that's what these screws are for. Now I'm not gonna contact the barrels. The barrels touch right here, and they fit perfect in this radius. So you can see the marks from the barrels. The barrels fit perfect in here. So the barrels are locked in here. It can't go any higher. It's not gonna push through the floor, and it's locked in between these beams. Even when I pull the straps off, the barrels are wedged in there. Couldn't get them out. These screws sticking out, don't contact the barrel, because the barrel falls about right here, the radius of the barrel. So I made sure when I was building to keep my screws away from the barrels. And I'm probably gonna figure out something better for these rear barrels. The reason this is built like this, when I first built on 2 pontoons, I added 1 barrel to the rear, just so I could have a diverter to stop with cavitation and everything. And that 1 barrel helped support the weight of the extra motor, the battery, and that fuel tank without squatting in the rear. It worked out great, but when I decided I want to make it a houseboat, I came back and I cut all my 2x6 joists in the middle to add these runners 19 inches apart. That's the perfect measurement for a 23.5 inch diameter barrel. In fact, you see this cut out, right, this marking? That's how I figured out my radius, because this is a 2x6, this is a 2x6, and my radius just touched the edge, so that was fine. I used that to do all my math, and it worked out great. I wish I would have left 1 barrel up to show you, but when the barrel's installed, it contacts this 2x6, this 2x6, and it's pushed up against this 2x6. But anyway, back to what I was saying about this. I wish I would have done it differently, but I was afraid with having a wooden motor mount. If I would have left the 2x4, the 2x6s vertical like this, I was afraid I would get some sag with the weight of the motor. So it gave me less chance of sagging if I tilted these on, I think, a 30-degree angle. It's not going to sag outwards. It's going to be trying to pull down as it gives it more strength. And then I came back and I think I put a 2x10. I think it was a 2x10 I cut down on an angle to give the transom more support. It's very solid. This whole thing's only held in with deck screws. Initially I was supposed to come back and build an aluminum motor mount that would cap this all the way around. I just never did it. The transom is plenty strong for this little 9.8. Maybe when I upgrade to a 25 horse 4-stroke, I'll go ahead and make that aluminum plate. But the way I had these 2 rear barrels secured, the straps didn't fit it very well like the rest. I'll show you what I mean. If you guys are all familiar with my build, you know how the straps fit. You know, it cradles the barrel nice and neat and uniform. These straps, however, because of my angled, it doesn't look good to me. I mean, it serves its purpose fine, but I found that these straps, these 4 last ones in the center row, do not hold as tight as the rest. Plenty times it would get caught up on the bunk of my trailer, this bottom one right here, the one in the rear and the front one. So this one was right, that side needs to turn. This one was about right here, and my trailer bunk will catch it and want to twist it and slide it back. These last 4 did not hold as secure. You can actually see I ripped it right here. See, it would get caught up on the trailer and rip it, pull it. Now it didn't separate, it didn't come loose, but it hangs up. That's a problem I'm going to try to sort out this time. And my diverters, I left them in place. This is my rear diverter. I wish I could afford it right now. I would closed cell foam, spray foam all 4 of my diverters. I just can't afford it right now. Like I said, I wish I could, because I can't access them from the top, and it'll be easy to do it. I could just fill it up, let it overflow, and I can just trim it flush and put my barrels back on. My foam guy, I'm sure if I call him and ask him, he'll come take care of me. But for people that personally know me, I don't ask for favors I can't pay for. So I don't think I'm gonna ask for that favor, although it would be easy to do it right now. So when the time does come and I have the money, because this is a small foam job for him to drag his rig out here. So when the time does come, I'll have to at worst remove 4 barrels, because the only way to remove the first set of barrels, you have to remove the barrel behind it to allow it to drop out of the lip. So I have to remove that would be 6 barrels. I would have to remove 6 barrels on a later date for him to come foam it, and I have to put it back on blocks, which is not hard to put back on blocks. You see I got the 2 barrels in the front, 2 barrels in the rear, and then I have some support legs. The support legs was just to stop the middle from sagging. Now speaking of sagging, I have no support in the middle, and this whole project weighs about 3,000 pounds, so that's why I built my main structure. I went overkill with it. I remember when I started out building it, posting on the groups, everybody was criticizing, not everybody, a good bit of people were criticizing how heavy it is, and you should use 2x4s and 2x2s. And my goal wasn't to make the structure light. I wanted the structure heavy, that way the majority of my weight is on the bottom, and this is a heavy structure. It's also a solid structure. If this had been a regular barrel boat just to play around with, I wouldn't have cared if it had flex and it wasn't that strong. I intended to build it a houseboat, a trailerable houseboat that's going to be bouncing down the highway at 60 miles an hour. So with that being said, if I'd have built it lighter weight, it would have had more flex in it. Alright, and flex, what happens with screws, it slowly wears out the holes and pulls the screws loose, and that means which I still may have this problem, when I start pulling on the highway, my wall gaps, my paneling's held on with pound nails. It may want to start pulling apart some of my panel and twisting. That was part of the purpose of getting spray foam on the cabin walls, because spray foam has a lot of racking strength. It's unbelievable the amount of strength spray foam has, but it stops a lot of twisting and racking. So that was the purpose of going spray foam on the interior in the cabin, was to help it racking strength, to try in an effort to keep a minimum of flex bouncing down the highway on the trailer. And like I said, that's why I built this frame strong. I want it solid and heavy. I wanted my bottom side to be heavy. I believe this was about 1,500 pounds as a tri-tune before I started building the cabin. That's the barrels, the frame, and decked over. That's a lot of weight. And my cabin wound up being about 1,000 pounds before I added interior. So that's where I'm coming up with my estimated 3,000 pound total weight, and that's not counting my fuel and my water. So the math on the barrels, to get the 12-inch half submerged, I can hold 4,000 pounds. Right now I'm probably 3,000 to 3,200 pounds. I'm on a single axle trailer. I'm gonna have to upgrade my current axle, because I'm maxed out. So I can launch it once or twice with the axle I have, but I'm gonna have to upgrade to either a 5,200 pound axle, or I started building another trailer for a double axle. And well, while we're down here and the barrel's off, and you can see this is my sink drain. I left the plumbing open to better connect, but when the time comes when I install a gray water tank, if I want to install tanks, I have this strip on both sides. I think it's 16 inches wide, where I have room to hang a tank. So eventually I'm going to hang a gray water and a black water sewage tank from RV. And this is my shower. I did install a P-trap, and the purpose of P-trap is to hold water in here. The water in the P-trap does 2 things. One, it keeps bugs from flying into my shower for now, and it also keeps heat. The P-trap actually blocks heat, and the sink has a P-trap inside. It stops the heat from radiating through. I know it's gonna sound stupid. Before I put that P-trap, you could feel 9 degree heat coming up through that shower drain. Same thing with the sink. So yeah, that's what I got going on, and like I said, talked me out of it, but I'm thinking about adding on. My last barrel comes to about right here on the outside. I'm thinking hard about sectioning my outside 2x8 back here to make a splice, and I can add on, say, another foot, a foot and a half, whatever's gonna come out to be, to add another barrel on each side. And I'm also thinking about A lot of work redoing the transom and pushing the motor further out because I have enough slack in my cables to where it would give me a foot to a foot and a half more rear deck, but more importantly, it will get rid of my hole that's right next to my door, which I am making a little cover plate. Alright, see, I got some delamination right here. That'll be easy to fix. Anyway, I can make a cover plate that comes another 6 inches. That's going to help. Or I can step up a ramp right here that's removable for when I need to tilt the motor. That's something I may do. But I want to be talked out of. I want to make it longer, but I need to be talked out of right now because that would mean more delays before I get in the water. Oh, and I spoke about the flex. If you notice when I stand back, my rear curves down because of the deck cutout. Now, the rest of the houseboat pretty much stayed true in the center. And I think it sagged maybe 1/4 of an inch. My rear sagged a lot. And it's been like that since I built it before I had the cabin. And before I even put it on blocks, it was like that. And I left it like that thinking, well, that's going to help water drain off of the rear deck. That's why I left it and didn't address it, because a few people that came to see it in person, first thing they pointed out, oh, your hull's bending and sagging for no weight. It was bending and sagging. I built it like that. Now I could straighten it out. I could unloose some screws, put a foam jack here, or even right here on both sides, raise it up and re-secure it and get it straight. But I kind of got used to being like that. It's kind of an eyesore when you step back and look at it. I mean, I can tell it's crooked. I'm sure you can too. I'm not worried about it because I wasn't sure if I was going to add length to this boat. Well, the reason I stayed with this length is because the current length of my trailer is about the max I can handle. I started building a new trailer and I compensated and added 3 foot of extra length to my trailer for in case I want to build bigger, or if I happen to sell this one, the next one's going to be bigger. This one's 8 by 22 foot of deck. I would like to have 25 foot of deck, 25 to 26 foot of deck, and still keep a half-ton towable. So if I do sell this one, which I have quite a few people that want to buy it as soon as it's ready, but I want to use it, make some adventures. I'm just not ready to sell it yet. It'd be nice to have that money, but man, there's a year's worth of work, over 400 hours. It's hard just to say, yeah, I'm gonna sell it and start another build. I don't want to start another build right now. I want to enjoy this one first. Maybe in 6 to 8 months, I'll see about building another one. And like I said, the next one's going to be 25 to 26 foot in length. Cabin would probably be the same size, maybe a foot longer. Foot longer cabin would be nice, you know. But I'm completely happy with the size of this cabin. This is a 2-person boat. I mean, you can hold 4 people, but you can comfortably hold 2 people and sleep 2 people pretty easily. If you haven't seen the interior, I got videos when it was cleaned up. Right now it's a mess, but it's got a futon that pulls out and folds to a full-size bed. It's like a 6 foot by 41. I got all my window shades off. This helps a lot with the heat, keeping the AC in, but the AC does a good job. Like I said, my walls are spray foamed. Over an inch average on my walls and 2 inches on my ceiling. And that really helps this little 6,000 BTU do its job. Like I said, it's a mess. There's a pocket for my stove. My stove's it's a little propane stove. I didn't want to go electric. I do have running water, which I shouldn't do right now because it just drains down and I got to work on it there. The shower, as in my last video, I hadn't worked on it in a while. It's been over a month since I've done anything. I need to make my trim pieces, wooden trim pieces to cover my shower edge. I gotta make trim pieces across the top, all the way around. And then install the shower curtain. But the floor is good. It's all waterproof. This is by a company called Plastex. It's a waterproof lining, plastic liner. And porta potty. It's a basic cassette toilet. I think it's a 3 gallon capacity of water and 5.4 gallons bottom. It separates. It's really easy to use. By having a cassette toilet, I do not have to get a sewage system right now. And my water cabinet, that's my water supply. I made a mess up, so that's why the line had to go there. My original line ran to the floor. this wall was supposed to be stepped back to where the middle of that line will be in the middle of the wall. But I wound up, you know, I decided bathroom was more important, like the room wise. This way an adult could still change. This toilet is capable of getting out of here, but when you're sitting on it, you still have plenty of room. I can stretch my arm straight out. You know, I've got plenty of room right here, plenty of leg room. You know, average build person, 5'10", 190 pounds. I got plenty of room. Headroom, I think I got 6'4" on the headroom. And I do have the fan installed. It does work. I have it covered with this insulation because this fan has a dark cover on top and it lets in 100-degree heat. It just radiates right here in the bathroom, so I have to keep that covered. So I got trim pieces to build. Like I said, what's left in the interior is minor. Trim out the door frame, sheet the front door. I've got to trim out the rear door. I got to change the window on the back door because it's an opaque glass that you can't see through. I don't have to change it, but I think it'd be nice to have an opening window. So over $100 to put an opening window right there. Do I need it? Probably not, but I would like to have the ability to look out that back window. But, I do have the backup camera. It's a tiny little monitor. It gets the job done. Yeah, but I would still like to look out the window because visibility, I say I'm limited. I mean, this side opens on the rear half, so I can always stick my head completely out the window if I want. I have plenty of visibility. My only blind spot is going to be the shower, so that's where that backup camera helps. But I do have windows here, and I can always come here and look out, see what's going on. So I would like to have a window on the back door, but most of the time these doors and windows will be open while I'm cruising. I only plan on running the air conditioner at night. So like right now it's got a nice breeze blowing through. It's probably 90 degrees in here. Right, you see it's 96, but with the breeze it's tolerable. It feels fine. I do have a little fan, so I spend a few nights sleeping in here, camping out, you know, doing what any man would do. If you got something ready to sleep in, you got to try it, right? Well, that's what I did. I had tried it out. I kept everything in here. Almost everything's 12 volts. The radio I got to mute. But a 12 volt chart plotter, 12 volt radio, 12 volt interior lights, RV lighting. And oh yes, porch light. I have porch light, rear flood, front flood, navigation, and anchor. And then of course I have 2 USB phone chargers. It's USB 3.0, and I think it's like a 1 amp, if that. They say it's 2 amp, but they're not. And then of course a 12 volt socket. All this is 12 volts. Almost everything in here is 12 volts. TV's 12 volts. The antenna's 5 volts, so I have a 12 volt to 5 volt USB dual outlet here that powers my TV antenna, which does fold down. Oh, that's a good sound. Hadn't folded in a while. Cheap hardware. I need to find a good stainless steel friction bracket like that. Oh, I got a frog in there. Little froggy. Hey, buddy. But yeah, I kept almost everything 12 volts because I didn't want to put everything 120 volts because then you need bigger generator to run everything and more power. This way my only 120 volt power is needed to run the AC, which I have 120 volts hooked up right now. AC is 120 volt. My dual bank battery charger is 120 volt. I've got a water heater to install that's going to be 120 volt, and one single light is 120 volt. Everything else is 12 volts minus my little propane camping stove. The water pump is 12 volts. 12 volt water pump. So yeah, I try to keep everything efficient as I could, but I strayed off target. The main purpose of this video was to give an update about my frame, my structure, my diverters, how I built it, and what's been stopping me from running it. I had a surgery on my left elbow. This boat was supposed to be in the water by the end of June. That was my target, but I had a lot of things happening. I had a lot of side jobs I had to complete, and then my surgery. which is taking longer to heal. My surgery was a 70% success rate when I went into it. It was supposed to take maximum of 6 weeks to heal. We're going on, I think, the 4th week, and I'm still in a lot of pain. Well, it turned out when they did my surgery, they had a lot of extra damage inside my elbow, and the tissue and the tract that keeps my nerve in place was gone, demolished. They had to do some reconstruction in there, and it's going to take a lot longer to heal. So I probably got another 6 weeks of either not having full use of my arm, or the pain and the weakness I'm having is going to be permanent. So I won't know that until the time comes. But yeah, that was my delay of why I haven't been finished and I wasn't in the water yet. So now my arm still hurt, but gravity has assisted me in pulling the barrels down. So that's why I done it today. Thank y'all for viewing.